Okay, so now there's a famine. My camera got messed up, but there's a famine, 3 years of famine, and David inquired of the Lord, and he told him it's because of what Saul did to the Gibeonites. So he had to make it right with them. So they asked for some gold and silver, and they wanted 7 men of his sons delivered unto them, and they'll hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. So David gave them 7 members of Saul's family, except for the Mephibosheth, because of the covenant of Jonathan, and they hung them up, and the famine stopped. And then one of the daughters of the family of Saul was mourning, and then they got the bones of Saul and Jonathan, and they buried them. And the Lord was entreated of the land. So then they went to war again. David almost got killed, and then Abishai killed the Philistine, which almost killed David, and he told David not to go to war with him no more. And so then there was still war. Goliath's brother was killed, and there was another battle in Gath, and one man was really tall, a giant, and he had 6 fingers and 6 toes on each hand and foot. So he gets killed. David's brother slew him, or David's nephew killed him. And so there were these 4 were born to the giants in Gath and fell by the hand of David. So they killed 4 or 5 giants. And then chapter 22 is the Song of David, which really describes a lot about God. I'm going to read a little bit of it just to give you an idea. It says, "In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried to my God, and he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled, the foundations of heaven moved and shook, because he was wroth. Then went up smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub, which is an angel, and did fly, and he was seen upon the wings of the wind. And he made darkness pavilions round about him, dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Through the brightness before him were coals of fire kindled. The Lord thundered from heaven, the Most High uttered his voice." And then it gets more deeper into him and stuff, but it's a really good description of God. Then chapter 23 is the last words of David, talking about his, ruling, about God's everlasting covenant with him. "And the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands." And it's just about ruling in the fear of God, and ruling, he that ruleth over men must be just. And then it goes to the list of David's mighty men, which there's a lot. His soldiers and people with him. Now the part that gets me, it says, "And again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, Go number Israel and Judah." So Joab, his captain, goes and numbers them. And he gave him the sum of the numbers, and told him how many there was. And David's heart smote him after he had numbered the people. And he said, "I've sinned greatly in what I've done. Take away the iniquity of thy servant, for I've done foolishly." And then Gad the prophet, David's seer, came and told him the Lord offers him 3 things. And he told him 7 years of famine shall come into thy land, or you flee 3 months before thine enemies while they pursue you, or there'll be 3 days of pestilence in thy land. Now advise, see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. So David told Gad, let me fall in the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall in the hand of man. And the Lord sent pestilence upon the land, and people was dying, and about 70,000 men died. And when the angel stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed the people, it is enough, stay now thine hand. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing place of Araunah the Jebusite. So then, basically, the plague stopped there. And then David bought the place from him, built an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and a peace offering. So the Lord was entreated for the land, so the plague was stayed from Israel. Now, on that part, the first verse in chapter 24, when it says he moved David, you look in First Chronicles, it said that Satan was against him and tempted David. I think it is, let me look here. Yes, it says in First Chronicles, and Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number the people. See, in this one it said, and the Lord's anger was kindled, and he moved David against them. So that's the second time we've heard about Satan, besides in the garden, tempting Eve, and then this time, him provoking David to number the people. Then, it just makes me wonder, what part does Satan play in our lives, and then the lives of people, period? I mean, this is only the second time. The rest of the time, they was turning aside from God on their own. I mean, it didn't say Satan tempted them to turn to serve other gods. Human nature. They just turned on their own. So, I mean, who are we fighting with? Who is our battle with? Is it with Satan, with spirits, or is it with ourselves and our human nature? So, 2 Samuel ends with David being a king, the plague being stayed, and them being in one kingdom. So David's the king of Israel. He had turmoil with his sons. He had battles. His enemies were destroyed. He waxed greater and greater and greater, and Saul's household was basically destroyed except for the one son. And that is 2 Samuel. But after reading 2 Samuel, my main question is, what role does Satan play in our lives, seeing how he just tempted David to number the people? And then, let's say, walk wisely in your steps, trust in the Lord, and basically just have faith in God and walk wisely in your steps, because people's going to be against you. But if God's with you, who can be against you? Who can raise up against you if He's with you? And you're wholly following Him with your heart. Because if you're not wholly following Him, He will raise people up against you to destroy you, whether it be physically, mentally, any kind of way. We have to have faith and trust in God that He provides everything that we need. For David had faith in Him, but he fell. So that's the thing. He started off young. He was a man after God's own heart. Then he had a man killed for lust after his wife. Then his son lusted after his sister and raped her. And then the brother killed the son because he was angry to get revenge for him raping his sister. Karma. There's a lot of karma going on in this book. So it's always wise to watch your steps and make sure you do things for the good rather than for selfish and flesh reasons. And that's 2 Samuel.